And it gave me a sense of pride that, you know what, it doesn't matter what people say. It doesn't matter what other people do. I am the captain of my own ship. I control what happens to me. And trust me, I've gone through things. I've had terrible things to happen, but at the end of the day, I am still in control.
Welcome to another episode of the Masters of Business. I'm your host, Brother Bedford, and I'm always excited about my conversations with many of the people that I've developed phenomenal relationships with, but I'm extremely excited about this conversation today. I've known Dr. Felicia Phillips for a few years now. We've worked together. I've spoken on her stages. And once I said I'm going to reboot the Conversations with Black Millionaires, but put this new twist on it, she was at the top of the list of people that I wanted to have a conversation with, because I know the depth and breadth of your experience can be so beneficial to so many people that we encounter. So I'm extremely excited about this conversation. I'm going to read your bio quickly, but then we're going to definitely delve into having you explain who you are. But first, let me mind my manners. I want to thank you, Dr. Felicia Phillips, for joining me today.
My pleasure. Listen, anytime Brother Bedford calls, you answer. And so I'm thrilled to be here today. I know we're going to have a dynamic conversation. So let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. I do want to read your bio, because normally I would say that, let everyone know you can see the bio below or click the link and get the bio. But I do want to read it because there's some things that I want to draw from the bio in our conversations that, again, many of us, our people as Black entrepreneurs, budding or even seasoned, been around for some time. There's just some things that we don't know of opportunity that could help us in our businesses. And so I want to read where you've carved out this niche, where you've really planted your flag in an area that so many of us are just oblivious to. So I want to read your bio real quick, and then we'll get into the conversation. Dr. Felicia Phillips is a master business strategist and CEO of PPICW Incorporated. That's headquartered right here in Atlanta, Georgia. PPICW, that stands for People, Processes, Impact, and Collaboration Worldwide. Of course, Dr. Felicia Phillips, a two-time award-winning certified MBE consulting firm specializing in small business, program, and leadership development. I want you all to put a pin in that, because we want to talk about that. Felicia has built her 30-year entrepreneurial career on serving, educating, and mentoring small and diverse businesses, as well as assisting corporations with their diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. PPICW has had the privilege to work with companies like Southern Company, Wells Fargo, Papa John's International, Delta Airlines, the Small Business Administration, and many other organizations. Dr. Felicia is founder of the 1 Million Dreams Foundation for Black Women and Girls. And for the past 5 years, Dr. Felicia has hosted MogulCon. We just talked about that briefly. We're going to talk more about that a little bit later. MogulCon is a platform dedicated to assisting Black businesses grow and scale for profitability and positioning in the marketplace. She is a member of the Forbes Coaches Council, the Atlanta Business League, and has been featured on CBS, Fox, BET, Black Enterprise, Huffington Post, and many other media outlets. She is wife to Anders Phillips and mother to 2 adult children, Cierra, Elise, and Grant Alexzander. So once again, without further ado, I want to welcome Dr. Felicia Phillips.
Oh my goodness. Listen, I need a nap just listening.
Well, you put in the work. You put in the work. Yes. It's 30 years of hustle and grind and late nights and all and study, intense study and relationship building. And that's why I wanted to read it. Because you, just like myself, we encounter so many people who want to become entrepreneurs. or start their own businesses, and yet they don't know what it really takes. So they're not committed to it. And so that's why I wanted to read your bio, because you have serious commitment to this. And so now I think we can dive into this conversation. Now we've read the bio, but I want you to take us, because they see you now, right? I just read the bio. It's 30 years later, but let's talk about who is Dr. Felicia Phillips before the doctor, before the companies. What type of person were you growing up before you got on your entrepreneurial journey?
So, I have to laugh even thinking about it, because I did something that is crazy, and I don't think this is anywhere. You will never read this anywhere. I was 12 years old and very athletic. I was a cheerleader, ran track. And so I would be asked to come to a lot of competitions. And I remember this particular summer that I had been asking my dad for a lot of money. And we're just regular folks, okay? Regular Black folks. Let me put it in perspective, okay? And I think I caught him on a bad morning, but I'm gonna tell you, it shifted my entire life. So I go to him and I say, Dad, I need to register. I need $100. I need to buy shoes. I got to do this, that. And he looked at me, he said, every time I see you, you're asking me for money. And I will tell you, it ripped me apart on the inside. So I go back to my room, I sit on the bed, and I say to myself, you can get this money. You can do this. So while all my friends are getting fake IDs to go to clubs and all that, I get one to get a job. And so I went and I got a job so that I could get the money to fulfill my dreams. And that's what I did. And it's so funny because to this day, I get a Social Security statement that says, are you this old? But I knew I had to take my dreams and what I wanted into my own hands. And that changed the whole trajectory of my life. Fast forward at 16, guess what? I had the money to buy a car. I could do all the things I wanted to do, but the next milestone was my great grandmother. I talk about her a lot in my talks. Her name was Maddie, and she was a business owner. She had come from the country. She put herself through a GED program, and she owned a lot of land right here in the city of Atlanta. She owned a salon. She owned a daycare center. She was active in the church, helping to build schools in the Black neighborhoods. Wow. She called me one day and she said, hey, come on over. I want to take you somewhere. And when I got there, she said, I see you. She said, I love all my grandbabies. She said, but it's something about you. Right. I'm going to invest in you. And I will never forget this because she took me down to Georgia Federal, downtown Atlanta. She was the first person to explain finances to me. Right. Took me through all her bank accounts, money market accounts. I mean, this sister knew it to the penny. Right. And she opened up an account for me. And she said, I'm investing in you. That meant everything because she gave me her time, Brother Bedford. Right. When somebody gives you their time, that's something they cannot get back, right? And so I actually graduated from high school and 2 months later walked out of my parents' house. Start my own trajectory. And I will explain why. I knew that they had given me all that they could. Mm-hmm. They had given me their best. They had equipped me in a way that only they knew how. The rest was up to me, which is why I often say, you cannot continue to say, this is how I was raised, or this is what my parents taught me. At some point, you have to take control of your own trajectory. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful story because what I've heard a couple of times, you use the term taking control, but then how you took personal responsibility. And in my group, the Masters of Business, one of the things that the first thing I tell we have to get rid of saying them. Yes. Those, when I hear people, that's a red flag to me. When there's always someone else responsible for your well-being and your livelihood, that's a red flag for me. So to hear you at 12 years old say that you took responsibility, no matter what was said, you said, I'm going to do this. I can figure this out. I mean, was that something that your parents put into you before you were 12? Or was that just something that was innate in you, that was burning in you?
So I'm going to say both, right? I come from a family of entrepreneurs, people who were the first to do things. So
Right.
I've always seen them take control. I was a daddy's girl growing up. So
Right.
my father owned a construction company, which my brother runs today. And my uncles all had their own business. So they kind of had their own little mastermind group. And
Mm.
I can remember at 8, 9, 10 years old, listening to them, the good, the bad, the indifferent, the ugly of
Right.
entrepreneurship, and not being deterred from that because I saw strength in what they were doing. Because, in the 70s, 60s, and 70s, we were still, and even today, we're facing a lot of racism and different things that tend to hold us back as Black people. But
Mm-hmm.
they were forging forward with their dreams, regardless of what society was saying. And that meant something to me.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that my uncles always did was they would say, you should be proud of who you are. You need to know your people. And they would tell me stories about one of my uncles who was the first Black navigator who had a boat in the port of Charleston. They would just go on and on with these stories. And it gave me a sense of pride that, you know what? It doesn't matter what people say. It doesn't matter what other people do. I am the captain of my own ship. I control what happens to me. And trust me, I've gone through things. I've had terrible things to happen, but at the end of the day, I am still in control.
Right, right. No, that's powerful. So I hope that everyone is taking notes and really embracing that concept of taking personal responsibility and control, and knowing that you will have some hardships, right? It's your road has not been easy. My road has not been easy. And every person that I've interviewed, every successful entrepreneur, millionaire, even billionaires, they all have the story of the obstacles, the hurdles that they had to overcome. And so there's no escaping that, but taking responsibility and really getting through that or over it is a tremendous quality and trait to have. And it's something that you had at such a young age. So now that you're out of your parents' house, right? So did you go directly into the entrepreneurial arena, or did you just continue to work, get jobs that kind of help to fuel your future?
So I'm enrolled at Georgia State. And this is so funny because back then it was like $800 a quarter to attend Georgia State. So I'm working. My girlfriend and I moved into an apartment. Her dad helped us get. And so we're working. Literally in the first 6 months, my car is stolen.
Wow.
Like everything is happening. Of course, we have.
So immediately the hardships come, right? So we just talked about it. So you get out and here they come.
I mean, left and right, I'm getting knocked down. And so I had 2 jobs, going to school full time. And I remember coming home and I said, you know what? Enough is enough. I am so much better than this. But what am I going to do? So I don't know about you, but there's always a catalyst or a pivotal moment that I can always trace things back to in my life. So I'm working for this guy. He has a durable medical equipment business. I'm his #1 salesperson.
Right.
I go to work and the feds are at his office, right? They are shutting him down because he's doing fraudulent billing. So while all of my coworkers are like going crazy, what are they going to do? I literally walked over to the bookshelf because no internet at this time, okay? Mm-hmm. I took every book off the shelf and I took them home with me because I thought if I can make this guy rich, I can make myself rich, okay?
Right.
So I'm going to try to keep this short for the sake of time. So I take the books home. I wanted to learn, I think back then it was Word Star or Word Perfect. I'm dating myself, I know. Yeah. But I get on the bus, I go to a temp agency so I could use their computers, right, to learn. And I found out that I was supposed to get paid through Medicare to start this business. I found out how to get my business license, register my business. But you got to remember, I'm a college student. I don't have a lot of money.
Right.
I get on the phone and I believe that this woman could hear the youthfulness in my voice and the fact that I was naive about the process. And she gifted me a ticket to the conference that they were having in Macon, Georgia. Mm-hmm. I borrowed the money from my uncles to go, and I started that business with my tax return. Mm. And I will tell you, I have not looked back since that day. I literally packed a lunch, got in my Renault, and drove to Macon, Georgia to attend this conference that changed my life. I had to get all types of certifications. And I can even remember asking my parents to rent a car for me, take me where I had to go. And I did whatever I had to do. I used my family. I had my cousin draw my logo. I said, okay, I'm in the medical field. I'm doing durable medical equipment. I need a white coat. I had my great grandmother sew my logo on the coat. And I would drive into hospitals or industrial places. I would park my car and I would get out with these gift certificates that I would have in my pocket. And I would go door to door and talk to people. You all, we have to talk to people. I didn't ask them for anything. I wanted them to know that I could serve their terminally ill patients, that I had what they needed. I could solve a problem for them and that they could count on me. And I did that at the age of 19. I'm literally out here knocking on doors and saying, give me a chance. And that's how people became, they got to know me and know what I stood for and just the quality of work that I could deliver.
Wow, this is powerful. I mean, I'm glad you told the story. There's so many jewels. And at first, I want everybody, I hope you're taking notes. The feds were there. Right? Now, I'm trying to get into Felicia's head. So today, now most people say, okay, maybe I need to just turn around and get up out of here because you don't know what's going on. But I love your mind. Felicia went and got the books. Felicia went and got the books off the shelf. So you knew the value of learning and mastering that business, even in spite.
My mother would always say, you know, and I'm sure you all have heard this, you know, if you want to hide something from a Black person, put it in a book, right? Put it in a book. My mother was an avid reader. And in my mind, I'm thinking, how did he do this? And literally my eyes connected with that bookshelf. And I did not care.
That's powerful. I mean, because most people do not think about, even today, you know, with having access to unlimited information on the internet, right? So that's like the new books. These are the encyclopedias. Just Google something. Most people still do not take that approach when a tragedy happens or something comes up. The mind doesn't default to let me go find the answer in a book. And for you to be so young, and again, the pressure of the feds. Now, it's one thing saying, okay, we're closing down shop at the end of the day, you know, take what you want. You know, that's different. Maybe you got time to think and collect yourself. But the feds are literally there shutting down the place. And your mind defaulted to, I need to grab these books. Because if I can be the #1 salesman for this person and make them millions, I can do it for myself. That's just brilliant thinking.
I was hungry, Brother Beth. I was hungry. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I was tired of my lifestyle. We weren't rich growing up, but you know, we didn't have to worry about food. There were certain things we didn't have to worry about, but now that was all up to me. And I was sick and tired of eating rice and ramen noodles. Okay.
That's what happens.
You know, and when you see the world just passing you by, moving around you, and I'm looking at the things that people are doing, and I'm saying, I'm smart, I can do this. It was a sacrifice. And I think that nowadays people just don't want to sacrifice. Let me tell you, over 30 years, let me tell you some of the things I've had. I've had to sacrifice time, money, time with my family. Yes, I've missed recitals and plays and PTA meetings. Right. Why? Because I made a commitment. I also have a commitment to my family to provide, you know, and sometimes we want everything to be perfect. There is nothing perfect about business.
That's right. That's right. That's right. No, it's all about being creative and being productive, and we make things happen. Now, one thing I want to ask you about sales, because you talked about that a couple of times, but you just said something about being hungry. Now here you are at 19, right? And you're saying you were hungry, you're tired of, you know, just eating the ramen noodles and the rice, which a lot of us do. So at that moment, you probably thought, like, because you mentioned, you know, the world is passing you by. You probably thought, oh man, I don't have enough time. But now juxtapose that to how long you've been in business. You can see that there was still time, but the sense of urgency you had in the moment was something for a 19-year-old, because most 19-year-olds today think they're going to live forever. There's no sense of urgency. It's like just lollygagging and dragging your feet, but you had that sense of urgency at 19. Let's speak to that real quick. You
know what? As you were talking, I thought about something. When I was 8, I remember them asking, what do you want to be when you grow up? And so
Right.
they had us write on this piece of paper. Well, I kind of went a little extra with it. I wrote on the paper that at 25, I wanted to own my own business. I wanted to be married. I wanted 2 kids. And I had all these things. My mother actually kept that piece of paper. And I always knew inside of me that I was created for more. My life, just being here, it is a miracle that my parents even connected, right? And knowing that at 8, I wanted to own my own business, that just says something. I never lost sight of that.
Right.
I always knew that I was supposed to have my own. But we face so many challenges that redirect us from what God has put inside of us, right? Or in today's, setting, we're looking at what other people are doing and then trying to compare the vision that we have to what someone else is doing. You cannot do that. You lose the creativity. You lose what it is that you're supposed to be doing and who you're connecting to. I want to share something that happened to me the other day. I do my meditation and worship because we all have conflicting moments of what should I be doing.
Right.
And so I'm meditating and I have my hand in my face. And when I look up, Brother Bedford, there was a hummingbird hovering right in front of me.
Right.
And I thought, what is the message of this? Why? And I've seen the hummingbird twice around here.
Right.
And I said, why is that? People say hummingbirds are magical and all these things. But what I've learned is that it means that you're on the right path. Sometimes you have to trust the path that you specifically are on and know that it is leading you to whatever your destiny is, whatever it is that you're supposed to be doing in this lifetime.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. And again, I don't want to I want to make sure that nobody misses these jewels that Dr. Felicia Phillips is sharing with us today. The comparison part, it was almost like you were in my meeting just yesterday. You almost stole the exact words. I said that when we compare, it really destroys or strips you from your uniqueness. You lose what your unique talent, skills, and gifts are by comparing yourself to others. And then you start trying to live their lives or live their dreams. And you're literally destroying your own power because the best you can do, even when you look to somebody else's business model or whatever it is that you want to copy or duplicate, that's still not your strength. So you're working in a weakness, you'll make it a little stronger, but that's still just a strong weakness and not your strength. So you got to discover your strength. So that's beautiful with what you said. And it's funny that you've kind of, I guess, knew that at such a young age and really just worked on that. Now you talked about sales. You said that several times, and you were so young to be in that company, but yet you were like the top salesperson. But I love what you said that you did afterwards. Once you got the books and you started your business, you went out and you started communicating and going door to door and building relationships. So I want to ask you bluntly, what is your secret to sales? So you were number one in this company, but then you knew you had to start over. And the first thing that you did, you started building relationships and talking to people. So you hear all of these different sales strategies and stuff, but I want to know, what is Dr. Felicia Phillips' sales secret?
So I want to start with this. I don't care what anybody else is doing. I do what works for me. So one of the things that I always strive to do is make people feel comfortable. Allow them to feel that they're the only person in the room when they're in my presence, right? I don't care if it's 50 people in line. When I'm talking to you, I'm talking to you. The other thing is I try to interject humor, right? Like, listen, I know you weren't planning for this call today, but now that I have you, I got something I got to tell you that's super important, right? So I'm making them laugh, right? I'm releasing the guard because guess what? People can feel when you're about to sell to them, right? Also giving them the option to say no, because I'm not afraid of no, right? So I don't ask questions that allow them to give me a yes or no, right? So if I'm meeting with someone, I don't say, are you available next Friday? I said, listen, I got an opening next Friday at 10 o'clock. Does that work for you? If so, I can go ahead and schedule it in. Right? I don't wait for people to deny me. I don't give them a choice. Right? Sometimes we're so afraid to take control of the sale. You could do that and still be nice about it, right? You know what? I'm excited we're talking today. I'm looking at my calendar right now. Why don't you go ahead and open yours so that we can go ahead and close this? Listen, I know you're dealing, so you gotta know that what you're offering is good, right? So many times we're unsure about what we're selling, right? And if you're unsure, guess what? That is going to come across. That's why I would never sell anything I don't believe in.
Okay.
People, you have to have passion and conviction for what you're doing, right? You got to know that whatever you're selling, if it's some sauce, it's the best sauce in the world. And when you taste this sauce, I guarantee, right? It's that passion that sells. People want to do business with you.
This is good. This is good. This is good. So now you see why you must get to MogulCon. You must join Dr. Felicia Phillips newsletter. She's going to give you all of this information in just a moment. Let me walk through here real quickly because I wish I could talk to you all day. We've had we've known each other for a few years. We've had the opportunity to talk about businesses and even home life with parents and things like that. Both of us caregivers at certain stages of our life. But I remember you talking about, so I'm assuming that somewhere when you were starting this medical billing practice, you also got into real estate because you and I had some conversations about real estate. You want to touch on that briefly about your career in real estate?
Yes. So I started my first business, and what I realized, and I know some of your viewers can relate to this and listeners, I was wearing so many hats, right? So I'm doing the billing, I'm delivering the equipment, I'm going in the house doing the evaluations because nobody really understood my business. It wasn't something that you saw people doing. A lot of times in our community, we have a lot of what I call Me Too businesses, right? So they see somebody else making money and they think, oh, I can do that. And so they try to do the same thing. Well, guess what? Durable medical equipment was definitely not a Me Too business. So everybody was running from me because they're like, I don't know what she's doing. So I made a lot of money. I mean, listen, turning 20, I was well into six figures. But what I realized was this company could not grow, and I wasn't really mature enough to understand at that point in my life how to grow it. So I sold it. And I went to what I knew. When I was growing up, my dad didn't care anything about me being a girl. He was like, you're going to get on this sheetrock, this tile, you're going to paint these walls, right? You're going to help me make this money. So I actually took what I had, my proceeds, and I started to buy houses. I would live in them, fix them up, and sell them. And so I will never forget, I bought a VA foreclosure for $68,000 right in College Park. I lived in it, I fixed it up, and I sold it in about 6 months. I think it was $124,000. And I thought, I have hit the jackpot. And so I just began to replicate. And so I will tell you what came out of it. I shared my father had a construction company. Well, he got hurt and he couldn't run it. And so my brother was young. He's 4 years younger than me. And he's like, I don't want to be dirty like daddy. I said, but daddy was never broke. And so I invested in my brother. He learned the trade. He runs Peach State Construction today. And we had a good collaboration going because I would find the properties. He would come in and fix them up. And so what began to happen was I got frustrated with people doing my financing. So I then became a mortgage banker and I learned how to do my own financing. From there, the market crashed. We all know what happened there. That was a pivotal moment in my life because I thought, what am I going to do next? One of my good friends said, what do you mean? You got a lot of experience. You have a technology company, you have a logistics company. You can teach other people who look like us how to be in business. And I thought, people pay for that? It's like, yeah. And so I tried it out. I started volunteering at nonprofits, teaching, and people were enrolling in my class left and right. And I thought, okay, I can see how this can become a business. Well, guess what? Then corporations started knocking on my door. Then the government started knocking on my door saying, hey, we need you to teach. And I love, because if I can teach you how to be successful, that will never leave you. And so now I look at, I started, and I have a heart for small business and startups. But I look at where God has taken me today. Now I'm working with companies that are 10, 20 million, $100 million plus. And guess what? They have the same problems that
Same
some of
thing.
those small businesses have, right? So
Right.
what I had to learn was I can't be intimidated by the decimal or the comma.
Right.
Guess what? The knowledge is still the same.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Now this is good stuff, man. I hope you all are getting this. And that's one of the reasons why I love talking to you on this subject matter, because of the different, not just businesses that you were in, because now as you've evolved, the consulting into all of these different types of business, different types of partnerships. I mean, we gave some of the names. I'm very familiar with your relationship with Delta Airlines. And so with that in mind, because you've begun to help, I've spoken at MogulCon, right? So when you help women get into business, one of the things that I hear you stress often is MBE. So can you explain that? Because so many of us just overlook that. Can you explain that?
I sure can. So we have the National Minority Supplier Diversity Council, and they certify minority and diverse businesses so that you can go and get contracts, right, with corporations who honor that particular certification. And these are pretty much most of your stakeholders throughout the country, right? Fortune 100, Fortune 50, Fortune 500 companies. The MBE stands for Minority Business Enterprise. And so basically what this is saying is that they vetted your company. You have all the things that you need in order to do business in this arena. Now, I will tell you that is only the first step, and it does not guarantee you a contract. You still have to do the work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that you have to have things in place that mitigate risk. One of the biggest issues when doing business with corporations and large entities is they feel that people of color cannot mitigate risk. So you got to do your research, right? You know, I tell people, I go look at those investor reports, right? All those reports they put out every year that talk about how they spend their money, who they do business with, you know, stock, all those things are important, because now what I know from that is what their pain points are, right? So I'm looking at those press releases and stories. I'm doing the research because I'm looking for the niche as to how I fit in and how I can be a value proposition, right, to them. We talk about that all the time. What's your USP, your unique selling proposition? Well, guess what? It translates even over into this part of the business, because if they're hurting in an area that you can solve, believe me, you can make a lot of money.
Yeah, that's powerful. And the reason I wanted you to speak to this is because so many start businesses, and they're not businesses that are directly to consumer businesses, and they don't know how to work with a Delta or Coca-Cola. And I've seen you when someone stands up and they're like, I want to get a contract with Delta and blah, blah, blah. Then the first question you ask, are you MBE certified? And that kind of shuts them down, because now they got to rethink their positioning on how to get these contracts. And it's so important. So I'm hoping that everyone is, you know, because I get those questions a lot. And again, I'm not the expert on that. I have the expert right here, that they always say, well, Brother Bedford, how do you get these contracts with city governments and things like that, or big companies, again, like Delta, Coca-Cola? And one of the first steps is exactly what Dr. Felicia Phillips just said. You have to go through this process. Now, what is the best way for them to go through this process to become MBE certified?
Great question. So if you go to nmsdc.org, there is a satellite office or organization in each state. Some cover multiple states. So I'll use Georgia for an example. Here is the Georgia Minority Supplier Diversity Council. And also, if you're a woman, you can go through the greater business. Well, actually, it's WBENG, the Women's Business Enterprise. So that's another certification, right, that allows you to get your government certification. And there are so many layers to this. We could do a whole nother talk just on these certifications. So what I would like to do is start with just nmsdc.org. Because that will tell you where you need to go in your particular area in order to get certified. And then you could take the steps. They even, every month, they do a webinar that kind of takes you through the steps, shows you the benefits. Now, I'm going to give you some information ahead of time. Get your affairs in order, okay? If you don't have an accounting system, get one. Get QuickBooks, Sage, whatever you want to use. I don't care. Get one, because you're going to need to be able to produce your profit and loss statement, your cash flow analysis, things like that. You're going to have your taxes in order. You're going to have to make sure that you have a business checking account. PayPal, Square, those don't count, and they are not accounting systems. Okay. Right. So you want to make sure that you have your life, your business life in order before you go down this road. And you want to make sure that you're a corporation of some type, whether it's incorporated, an LLC, whatever it is, you want to make sure that you file that paperwork and that you have your local business license, whether that's with the county or city that you live in.
Yeah, this is good stuff. And this, again, one of the reasons that I love having these conversations with you about this is because this is above and beyond the hustle, right? You know, when everybody gets started, we just hustling, but we have this desire. So I look at us who are hustling, you know, from week to week, paycheck, whatever it is, just get the clothes out to cleaners, whatever we're doing. But we still have these desires of how do I land that type of contract? And it just doesn't happen in a vacuum. You have to put some things in place. And Dr. Phillips has been doing this for years. And this is what your company does now. It consults to help business owners, but primarily I know women at MogulCon to get themselves in position to do these things by taking all of these steps. And you kind of mentor them through this process. Now, what is your vehicle for mentoring women through this process right now?
So what I have is the Black Belt Business Academy, which will be opening up this fall. That is one way. A lot of companies will just come to me one-on-one for that private coaching. Now, here's what I always say. It's great to get certified, but you better have a plan for it. Right. Where we fail, where more than 70% of our businesses fail, is we fail to plan. We don't do that 3 to 5 year strategic plan. So when you go in, so let's say in a perfect world, you get certified. Delta or Coke or Wells Fargo, anybody says, hey, you know what, Brother Pepper, we're interested in your company. We'd like for you to come in and do a presentation. You're like, oh, snap, what is that? Now, this is where I see companies fail. One, you don't even understand your own culture within your business. What these companies are also looking for is that your culture and values align with what their initiatives are, right? They want to know who you are, who you're doing business with, because what they understand is that when they put their name on your name, they're giving you third-party credibility, absolutely, right? So you've got to have your stuff together. One of the things I want people to think about is how am I using the certification and who do I want to do business with?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's important.
How am I using this to scale and grow my business and get the visibility that I need? Well, let me tell you, you got to get involved so that people get to know you. You got to keep showing up, right? Because in order for them to say, we're going to give you a contract and we're going to pay you this amount of money, they have to trust you. Yeah. They have to know that this isn't a hobby for you, that you're going to be here, that you have skin in the game. So don't think because you just started a business and you got certified that it's going to happen overnight. There are a lot of things that go into really taking down that contract.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is powerful and something that you've alluded to. And I'm just going to be a little bit more direct because I think it's valuable for the viewers and the listeners. I don't even take on clients now for 30 days, anybody for 30 days, 60 days. It's not even worth the headache. Someone said, well, I want to work with you for 90 days and see what happens. I said, it's going to take 90 days before you even tell me the truth. It's going to take 90 days for you even, so I'll know what the real deal is, because you're going to tell me what you want to tell me. But there's no commitment. There's the point I wanted to make. And what you just described is the commitment that is absolutely necessary. If you're not thinking about your business 3 years from now, you're really not even you're just trying to make some money. And it's understandable, but you just got to be cognizant of that. If it's a money grab, I'm just trying to make some money, that's fine. But if you're trying to do what you just talked about, enter into these relationships with other types of businesses, larger businesses, you have to have these type of plans. What do you say, Dr. Felicia, to those who don't exhibit that type of commitment or long-range planning?
This is not for you.
Yeah.
Let me say this, we like to, we come up with these cliches, right? That we think are cool. Like, I'm hustling. Well, let me tell you something. I don't want to hustle.
That's right.
That's not my language. All right. I don't want coins because guess what? Coins don't turn me on at all. I need wires. I need transfers. Okay. I need real dollars. Okay. We've got to elevate what we say and put out in the universe and how we think. If you're going to run a business, then run the business. Operate the business, understand how to stop working in the business and how to start working on the business. Okay. Don't create a job for yourself, create a business that you can run. See, people want to get a website and a card that says I'm the CEO. But guess what? You just created a job for yourself. That's all you did, right? Because if it's just you, that's what you did. You created a job. Yeah. So we've got to stop playing around and being cute with business. We've got to dig in and understand that you are building something that is creating legacy and wealth. I always say my ideas are wealthy.
That's right. That's right. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I love your passion. And I hope that you all are picking up on this, because that's really what this is about. When we start talking about Black business and Black entrepreneurship, it's, team no sleep, securing the bags. I mean, all of this is fine, right? But as Dr. Felicia Phillips just explained, you have to have a passion to know how serious it is. That's the commitment that's necessary and the skills that have to be developed. As you just alluded to, if you're not interested in having people on your team, right? If you're not a likable person where people want to work with you or collaborate with you, you got a problem, right? You have a serious problem. So look, I'm watching the time and I want to be respectful of your time. So I want to, I think you've given us a lot on that. So now let's talk about MogulCon. I mean, because all of this began to develop and culminated with you developing this wonderful platform that speaks to everything that we talked about, taking all of your years of experience, all of your networking, your relationships, your partnerships with these larger companies, and you've developed this platform that you call MogulCon. So can you speak about MogulCon?
Absolutely. MogulCon actually happened during Snowmageddon here in Atlanta. I was actually stuck on the ice trying to get home. And I had left a meeting and I was thinking, it's got to be hard for a lot of Black, and I'm talking specifically Black people, because we do have men that come to MogulCon. Right. It's hard when you're trying to navigate waters that you have no idea about. Right. And I often think about when I first started, what it would have been like if I could have attended something like MogulCon, right, where all the players are there, the decision makers are there, the people who can get you in front of who you need to be in front of to get that business to the next level, but also to get the information that you need. I would not be here if it was not for relationships. Right. We've seen tumultuous times as business owners, as far as the pandemic, and then you go back to the recession, and then you think of all the economic downturns that over 30 years that I have seen. I have not once had to go and work for anybody. I've never once had to think about taking a job, because what I put value on is being a servant leader, empowering people to be able to stand up on their own 2 feet. And that is what MogulCon is about. You see, what I understand is, I want our people to be able to come to an event that is 5-star in every way, from the information to how you're treated, to the people that you meet. The speed of the leader determines the speed of the pack. And one thing that I train my team on is how to treat people respectfully. Let me tell you something. 2 years ago, we had a lady from marketing with Chick-fil-A. She came up to me and she said, I would think that your team has gone to the training at Chick-fil-A. Well, honey, that was all she needed to say. I made it. Right. But I say that to say we deserve better. We deserve to be able to attend events that speak to every sense, right? All of our senses, and give us what we need, so that when we walk out of the door, not only did we learn something, but we have maybe put some things into our sales pipeline that we can continue to leverage once we leave. And then when we come back again, nothing makes me happier than for people to say, I attended MogulCon. Right. And because I attended MogulCon, I got a contract here, I got a contract there. That means I'm creating wealth. Now I can go back, and this is something we're actually working on, is going back and looking at what our economic impact is has been over the years for the people who attend MogulCon.
This is awesome. Now, how can people get information? Because I know it's coming up soon. How can they get information from MogulCon?
Real simple. They can go to MogulCon.com or even MogulConLive.com. You can put your information in. All the information is on the site. Now, let me tell you what we're doing this year. It's a little bit different. For right now, I'm asking you to apply to attend. And here's why. I'm not looking at where you are today. What I'm looking for are the challenges that you're facing. You see, I could come up with a program, but I want a program that's going to speak to your need. And so I'm taking the time to read every person's information and really hear and touch what it is that your challenges are, so that we can have everything you need when you step foot in MogulCon.
I mean, that's awesome. That's awesome. So you're getting the intel so that you can customize an experience
exactly
that's going to be beneficial, because everybody's used to just conferencing, and sometimes it's the same rehashed material, or in some cases somebody's stealing somebody else's material and saying it on another stage.
Yes,
we've seen that quite often. But what you're doing, that is brilliant, and that is unique. I want to point that out. What you're actually doing. So here's a demonstration for everybody. If you're really paying attention, here's a demonstration as to how you can take an existing product or service and be innovative and use your own uniqueness to create a different type of experience that creates and adds value. I mean, that in and of itself, what Dr. Felicia Phillips just explained to us, we gotta do a part 2, because you gotta come back and we need to unpack that, because most people struggle with the same thing. If someone else is doing the same thing, how do I set myself apart? And Dr. Felicia Phillips just gave us a nugget on how she's setting MogulCon apart from all of the other conferences, especially coming through a pandemic. What makes MogulCon different?
Yeah.
And the mere fact that you're giving her the content so that she can match the resources and the people with what you need. That's powerful.
Because I'll tell you this, and I know you and I can talk forever. I'll say this real quick. One of the things that's so important to me is that you leave with business, which is why Delta Airlines is sponsoring our matchmaker this year.
Wow.
So that we can have companies there, they can leverage their influence and say, hey, come join us in helping this group of people get where they need to be, right? I don't want to always put you in a room where I'm talking about what you could do. Right. I'm going to actually be preparing you before MogulCon, so that when you get in front of those companies, guess what? You know how to pitch.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Can you explain the matchmaker? Because that's something that I think is worth just the price of admission, just to have a match made for you. Can you explain that?
And I'm gonna tell you this, Brother Bedford, it ain't about the tickets for me.
Right.
It's not, because if it was, I'd be selling them right now. You wouldn't have to apply.
Right.
What I'm looking for is people who are serious about moving the needle in their business. Now, this matchmaker, that is your opportunity to lead with business. Mm-hmm. So you got to think, I'm going to have government entities, municipalities. I'm a strategic partner for the Small Business Administration. They're going to be there. She's bringing, matter of fact, LaTanya Channel, we honored her a couple years ago. She's bringing her whole team. So now when you hear people talking about, hey, I want to get 8A status, I want to be veteran, hub zone, all that. Well, guess what? They're going to be there. They're going to be there. They have those relationships to get you in front of who you need to get in front of. We've got corporations. I'm talking about not just anybody, the best.
This is awesome.
So it's up to you to show up. I'm going to be there.
This is awesome. This is great. This is real good. And all you have to do is just go to MogulCon.com or MogulConLive.
Yes.
And all of the information, the application is right there for you to begin the process. This is beautiful. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about your latest initiative, though. I know we got to go, but I can't let you get away without talking about your latest initiative, the 1 Million Dreams Foundation for Black Women and Girls. Can you explain to us what that is?
Absolutely. One of the things I noticed is that if you are able to have a foundation, you can touch more lives. And I'm all about just getting out there. You know me, I'll think about it. Next thing you know, it's out there, right? I am not a stranger to putting my own dollar behind my initiatives. Over the last 6 years, I've probably invested about $700,000 in these platforms. All right. Well, guess what? I need some help in order to get it even further.
Right.
And so I created the foundation to serve our community in these ways. We have a health initiative. We're going to be training people in CPR. If you want to be a certified CNA, we have all types of health initiatives, right? Not only that, of course, I'm going to be doing my small business, but there will be levels to this, okay? So I don't want to take my startups and mix them with my seasoned business owners, because they're going to have different challenges and different ways that they're able to invest in themselves. So it's not just about the levels, it's about the particular industries that you're in. So we have agriculture, retail, professional services that you'll be able to explore and learn how to really stretch yourself and your business. I want to create more CEOs that are making an impact in their community. If we're going to really help ourselves, we have to create businesses that create jobs. We're not creating enough jobs, and that's what this is about. Now, next year, I'll be hosting a full week, where I'm going to take my young ladies and I'm going to show them how to become successful entrepreneurs. I'm going to bring in all my super friends, and we're going to host them for a week so that we can start to change lives at a very young age. And then from there, we have IT programs, and now we'll be able to house MogulCon under the nonprofit so that we can bring you more value.
This is awesome. And how can people get involved in the foundation?
So we're going to be actually doing a launch coming up in September. So actually, everybody, if you go to MogulCon.live and put your information in, you will receive the announcement about the 1 Million Dreams Foundation next month.
This is awesome. This is awesome. And this is, as you mentioned, so we already know we got to do a part 2 or part 3. I mean, we just need to make this a recurring conversation, because this is what we do. But, I love you. I love your passion and your spirit. This is awesome. I mean, I could talk to you all day. Once again, everybody, go to MogulCon.com or MogulConLive.com. You do not want to miss the opportunity to be in the room. To make the connections, to be paired with your ideal companies or opportunities. There's so much that's going to happen, but it starts with you going to MogulCon.com or MogulConLive.com and starting the application process. Final questions, Dr. Felicia Phillips, before you get out of here, just your parting words of advice. And I love what you mentioned in terms of the separation. I'm actually doing that myself in the Masters of Business right now. And you've alluded to it earlier, that in business and entrepreneurship, the information is the same, right? So the persons who are making $1 million, it's not like the training or information is different than those who are in the startup phase or making 6 figures, but the conversations are different. The environments are different. So you kind of have to separate them so that a millionaire's problem is a little bit different than somebody who's trying to crack 6 figures, right? Just the thinking, the word choice, the environment. And so I love
it's different. You don't want to insult them, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's
insult the startup person, and you don't want to insult the seasoned business owner.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you said it, because I've had experiences where people who are in their startup phase, they say, man, I'm just not. So they're hearing a conversation that others are having, and they're like, man, I'm not at that level, so I'm not ready. And then they bail out. And then those who are a little bit more accomplished, they're saying, well, I've been there before. I don't need the elementary training or conversation. I need something a little different. So that's wise that you're having that separation. I'm finding myself doing that within my own group as well. So with these 2 groups, though, I kind of want you to give your advice, your parting words to the budding entrepreneur who's just starting. What words of advice would you give to them? And then the seasoned entrepreneur who's looking to, let's say, reinvent themselves, right? Because no matter if you're seasoned, the pandemic has done something to your business. So what advice would you give to both of those groups?
If you believe in yourself, invest in yourself. Because what we're doing is we're trying to solve our own problems, and you do not have the bandwidth, right, to do that. So maybe you're just starting out and you're just chock full of ideas. You need somebody that can reduce your learning curve and get you to where you want to be faster. If you're a seasoned entrepreneur, let's say you've tried it, you've made some money, but now you're noticing that the business is starting to plateau. Now you've got to go back and revise that strategic plan. All of this means you've got to invest in yourself. So you've got to evaluate, are you worth it? And what I'm going to tell you is, if you want to get to that next level, you are definitely worth it. Make the investment to strengthen your foundation, strengthen your online presence, that digital presence, so that you can get out there and touch the masses.
Man, this is awesome. Beautiful closing word. But that one theme for both of those groups: invest in yourself, invest in yourself, invest in yourself. You can't get around it, right? You
cannot.
You can't get around it. Dr. Felicia Phillips, I mean, again, we can talk all day. I'm looking forward to MogulCon and really just everything that you have going on. I'm always excited when we connect to see what's new and fresh with you. So we got to do a part 2. Again, we got to keep the conversation going. But thank you so much for joining me today. This has been a great conversation.
My pleasure. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Love you too, brother.
All right. So look, everyone, again, go to MogulCon.com or MogulConLive.com. Of course, I'm your host, Brother Bedford, and joining me today in the conversation, Dr. Felicia Phillips. We thank you for joining us and sharing with us your time, and we'll talk to everybody soon, real soon. Take care, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Felicia.
Thank you for having me.